Hello, 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 and welcome back to Small Bites. I am so glad that you are here. Two of my very most faithful supporters and friends are actually watching together in Hawaii. I want to send a special shout out to Tracy Nicole Smith and Keisha McDonald from, I don't know where y'all are in Hawaii. I always forget. But anyway, they're up there together. Please hug each other for me. All right, but I'm coming. One of those places I'm going to show up. Anyway, I would like to give also a shout out to my son, who today, he's at work right now, but he'll probably listen to this at some point. He still listens to his mama. He is exactly 17 and a half right now, today. And that means 6 months of a countdown to official manhood. And that's a pretty big thing. It's been just the two of us for the last almost 11 years of his life. So it's kind of a big deal for both of us, but I'm super proud of the young man that he is becoming. And I just want to say happy half birthday, kid. Last childhood one. All right. Oh, hello. You did. Hey, Danny, how are you? I would like to also say a big thing happened this week. I put the final touches on finding your blind spots, and that's the book that's going to be out on December 3rd with Solution Tree. It is available for pre-order, so not only can you like and subscribe, but you can also go to Solution Tree and pre-order the book. I will be sharing the next 6 weeks actually after today, a little snippets of what I'll be talking about. It gives you 8 guiding principles for overcoming implicit bias. And the second chapter actually talks about guilt. Now, I am fortunate enough to work in a district where we are currently doing a book study on a book by Alina, I want to say Aguirre. I can't remember her name, sorry. At any rate, it's called Coaching for Equity. And that book really talks about a lot of the same concepts that I talk about. And we had a small group, and one of the teachers, the educators in the group said, wow, I never thought I would be able to talk about these kind of concepts in educational spaces, because that's often what it's like. You know, if you are a BIPOC person, you may have those conversations at home or in your personal circles, but in workspaces, you don't generally have a group conversation, say, hey, we need to address these things. How can we do that together? But it makes it difficult because you've got lots of different perspectives. So I was sitting next to my friend Leah, and she was saying, you know, when I read this chapter where it says you're either a racist or you're holding up the racist systems, or, you know, you're a white supremacist, when I read that, it's hard to hear. And that's one of the things I talk about, the kinds of language that we use. There's a Small Bites episode on isms and phobes. The kind of language we use can either draw people in, or it can possibly cause a wall to go up. Now, I am in no way advocating that we tiptoe around everything and we try not to be uncomfortable, because let's be honest, talking about issues of race and gender and systemic inequities, those things are uncomfortable. And that's okay. That's an uncomfortability that we do have to just develop a tolerance for if we want to move forward. We want to make sure that our students, that our kids that we're educating every day actually have equal access and equitable access to things that some kids have had all the time. However, how we get people to support those ideas, what we say makes a really big difference. And so and I am not calling anyone out who advocates using different kinds of terms or terms that might make somebody feel especially uncomfortable. I am simply saying that weigh those words carefully. When we talk about white fragility, white privilege, white guilt, all of those terms can cause people, white supremacy, those can be like waving a flag in front of a bull. And the question is, I know that there's a backlash politically, because the feeling is that those who are teaching about culturally responsive teaching, because it's not the other CRT, that's not being taught. Those of us who are teaching about using culturally responsive pedagogies are making kids who are white feel bad about being white. And if you use, well, you're privileged and you're a white supremacist and you're a racist, you're labeling, and you probably are making kids feel bad. So that isn't something you want to do. If you're working in adult educational spaces, that's not something you want to do. Use terms that will draw people in, call people in and not out. So this week for Small Bites, I just want to say, let's make this a no guilt zone. Guilt, there's some good guilt. There's some guilt that will cause you to want to be morally better. And that's okay. You know, the feeling that, oh, wow, I didn't know this was going on. I want to do something about it. Moving to moral action, yes, please. However, when we are talking to educators, especially when we see them trying, let's not push them away. Let's bring them into the conversation by using conversation and language that makes them want to support creating more equitable spaces. Now, this week, the Friday Five is actually an adapted excerpt from Finding Your Blind Spots. And instead of minute strategies, I have given you 5 different activities: one for littles, one for middles, one for secondary students, one for staff, and one for even parents and community. And these are all activities that you can do to promote inclusivity. And in doing this, I want you to, instead of thinking, oh God, I just don't want to talk about equity anymore. I just can't. I just can't. Because it's heavy. I get it. It's heavy. So this time I want to make it or this week I want to make it a fun, no guilt, no heavy, marginally heavy zone. Talk to your kids, your littles, and make a Venn diagram. How are we different? How are we the same? And why do we need to be different to make our world a richer place? All right, it's kind of long, so I'm going to send you to hedger.com. The links in the chat below, links in the notes below. So I'm going to send you straight to hedger.com. I won't go over that, but let me just one more time before you go admonish you. Use language that is inclusive, that is drawing people in. And remember back when you learned about persuasion, and in informational text and all that kind of stuff. When you want to persuade, there are things that you say and do to persuade. So even if you want to use a spoonful of sugar, some medicine go down, medicine go down, medicine go down. I got some sugar for you. All right. Thank you all for coming. Hey, Bonnie, I see you made it too. All my friends are here. Oh, I love this. I'm going to close with this. Tracy Nicole Smith says, words are powerful attractors or detractors. Be an attractor. How do you eat an elephant? One small bite at a time. Thank you so much for coming, and I will see you next week right back here for Small Bites.